Review of the Unit 6 Common Quiz. Number 1. Sarah has hired a contractor to replace the windows in her house. The more people that work, the less time it takes to install the windows. Determine the dependent variable in this situation. A. Amount it costs to replace the windows. B. The number of windows. C. The number of people that work. Or D. The time to install the windows. We are looking for the dependent variable. So we are going to highlight dependent variable. Beautiful. Dependent is the thing that you cannot control. So you have two things here. Really what we're talking about, the more people that work, the less time it takes to install the windows. So here we're talking about people versus time. So of these two things, what does Sarah control? Can she control how many people, or can she control the time? Dependent is what she cannot control. So if she hires more people, will it take more time, less time? Or can she control the amount of time and then the people just happen? What makes more sense? So think about it. You want the dependent one. These are the two that you can choose between. So pause the video. On your paper, write which one it is. Okay, number 2. Which relation has a domain of the set of numbers, that's what these braces mean, it's a set, 3, 5, and 8. We are looking for the domain, so we want to highlight that. That's your key word there. If you'll remember Miss Walker's fancy dancy word that you all love, if you can remember that right there tells you, are you looking for the X or the Y in this situation? You need to remember what these letters stand for. It is okay if the numbers repeat. So if domain is X and you see that, wait, there are 2 3s, that's okay. It just cannot have some other number like a 1 or a 4. It may only be these 3 numbers. The other thing you need to remember is, how is an ordered pair set up? What comes first, the X or the Y? So given these hints, choose which one you think is correct for the domain 3, 5, and 8. Pause the video, make your choice, and then press play. Okay, number 3. Which best represents y equals x minus 1? So we have 2 choices. It's either going to be a table or it's going to be a graph. Couple ways you could do this. One, plug and chug seems to be easy, at least for the tables. So if I plug in 0 for x, this would be, if I plugged it in here, I would have y, which in this case would be 1. So 1 equals 0 minus 1. Is that true? Does that equal? If it doesn't, you can stop right there. You don't even have to worry about this next one, because as soon as 1 is wrong, you can cancel the whole thing out. No, because that would actually give you a negative 1. So that wouldn't work. So I'll give you a hint. We can get rid of A. How would I do it if I have a graph? Well, there's another way. You can also do a plug and chug here. If you look for the points, remember, you don't want anything in the middle of a box. You want it exactly on the line. So there's a point, here's a point, here's a point. So you can take any of these points. For example, this first one is 1, 2. It's hard to write with a pen. And you can plug this in. So if we wanted to plug this one in, for example, we would say our y in this case is 2. So we would say 2 equals, again, you want to go back up to your equation, x minus 1. So what is x? 1. So we would write 1 minus 1. Well, oops, wrong button. Here we go. Is that true? Does 1 minus 1 equal 2? I don't think so. So I'll give you another hint. It's probably not this one. As soon as you find one point that doesn't work, you got to cancel the whole thing out. So let me get my little red pen here. Not going to be that one. So now I've given you a 50-50 choice between is it B or D. Pause the video, do some work, make your choice, and then move on. Okay, for this one I had to make it smaller so it would fit on one screen. Number 4, a cell phone company charges $30 per month plus $10 per 1 gigabyte of data. Which table represents the monthly bill? This is what we talked about in class. The cell phone company charges $30, so we're going to underline this because it's small, $30 per month. So it doesn't matter if you use 1 gigabyte or 20 gigabytes, you are going to pay that $30. Now, depending on how much you use, you get this extra $10 per 1 gigabyte. So that means every time, remember we talked about every is our slope, it's the thing that we put with the x. So we're going to put plus 10x. Because every time we use one, we got to add 10 more. Or if we use a whole bunch, we can just multiply. So now you need to come over to your tables here. Which tables could we use? Well, let's look. 0 gigabytes, $30. That could work because no matter what, I got to pay that $30. Again, B has the same thing. So now I'm going to have to look further at those two. If I come down here, 0 gigabytes equals $40. Well, that can't be right because it told me up here that it was only $30 a month. Get rid of that one. And then down here, 0 gigabytes, $10. Now it's $30 per month. The $10 is for 1 gigabyte, so it can't be that one either. So now it's just between A and B. You have to pay $10 per gigabyte, and that's the difference I see here. Which one is going up by 10 for every gigabyte you use? That's all the hints you're going to get on this one. Pause the video, make your selection, and move on. Number 5. Which line appears to contain both ordered pairs shown in this table? So in this question, they are giving you a table right there, and you have to figure out which of these work in this table. The easiest way to do this is to find the points 2, 0 and 0, -4 on your line. Remember, they both have to be on your line. You can't just pick one or the other. They both have to work. If one of them doesn't work, you get rid of it automatically. One of the things they're testing in this question is, do you know your ordered pairs? Do you know that you have to go X is left to right and Y is up and down? If you don't know that, you might get these two reversed. 2, 0. I'll work 1 point with you. If you go over 2, you're not going to go up or down because remember Y is 0. So you would stop right here. Well, smaller, but that would be your point. Is that on the line that they drew? If it's not, you automatically get rid of it. So that's taking out one option. You have 3 options left. Which one has both points? Pause the video, make your selection. Number 6 is a TEI question. The directions say, click on the box to choose each answer. You must select all correct answers. This is your clue that there is going to be more than one. Now, there doesn't have to be exactly half or most of them, but it has to be more than one. So please choose at least 2 answers. To get this correct on a test, you have to pick all the correct answers, not just 1 or 2, all of them. Identify each point on a line. Y equals -3x plus 5. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a simple plug and chug. Grab your calculators, plug it in. What you do need to know is which one of these is x and which is y. That is important. You learned this back in 6th grade. We went over it a whole bunch of times. The easiest thing I can tell you is to remember the alphabet. At the end of the alphabet, R, S, T, U, V, W, what comes first? That's the same thing that's going to come first here. Plug and chug and see if it works. I'll do one for you. So in the first one we have -1 and 8. -1 is your x, 8 is your y. So we're saying 8 equals -3. And now remember, let's slide this over a bit. There we go. X right beside a number means multiply. So this is going to be times, let's see, we'll use that for times. What is our x? -1? Okay, plus 5. Again, we're also testing a little bit of order of operations. Done. Okay, so we are going to have to multiply first. -3 times -1, +3. Plus 5, that gives me 8. Does that equal what I wanted? It sure does. Yay! So, you need to mark the first one. You do that for all the rest of them. Oops, sorry guys. Can't connect. Okay, so again, I'm telling you that when you have this problem on any test, there's going to be more than one answer. You must try them all. It's a calculator problem. It's not that complicated, but you need to take the time to write down the information. Go ahead, pick the other ones that work, circle them on your paper. Pause the video while you do it, and when you're ready, move on to the next one. Alrighty, number 7. Which is the greatest value in the range of y equals -5x plus 3 for the domain, the set of numbers -2, 0, 1, and 3? This is a very complicated question. They ask it in the worst way possible, but this is actually a released question, meaning the state used this on an SOL test a few years ago. They gave it to us so you guys could practice. Couple key words that we have here, let's highlight. First of all, we want the greatest value for the range. That means we want the biggest number that we can get for our answer. The key here, again, you got to remember it. I'm telling you, it's important. It makes you laugh, but you got to know it, is Dixroy. Because Dixroy will tell you what is range. Are we looking for the biggest X? Well, that'd be easy. All I'd have to do is look. Or am I looking for the biggest Y? Range. Which one of these would they stand for? I think you know. Domain is going to be the other one that we have to plug in. So, without making this too easy for you, what I'd like for you to do, I'll go ahead and tell you, obviously domain, let's highlight that bad boy because he's important. Domain is going to be, see, there's your D, and there's your X. That's why there's the space in between them. So domain is your X. So what you're going to do in this problem is you want to plug in these numbers into your problem and see what is the biggest answer. Not which one of these is biggest. That's a kindergarten question. But when you plug it in, what is your biggest answer? And that's what you're going to choose over here. The greatest value in the range. So that's your biggest Y number. Okay? Try it out. Again, plug these in for X. Figure out which one is going to give you the biggest Y. Okay? Pause the video, do some math, and then move on to the next one. Number 8. Which table best represents y equals -1/2 x plus 2? A question I got while you guys were taking the test was, is it okay if I turn this into a decimal? Since this is a plug and chug with tables, you don't have a graph where you have to worry about slope, you totally can change this to a -1/2 you can change this to y equals negative 0.5 plus 2. I think that will help you. Oh, what did I forget? Forgot my x. That's an important piece because you got to know where to plug it in, right? Oh, wait. Let's go back up there. Okay. So, plug and chug. Grab your calculators. A lot of these questions seem harder than they are, but really, you just plug it in. And again, the very first time one of these doesn't work, cross it out and move on. Okay? For example, if I wanted to plug in over here, okay, let's try C. So if I wanted to plug in, let's put it up. What's my y? My y is 4. So does 4 equal negative 0.5 times, I'm going to use my little time symbol there. What's my x in this case? My x is negative 1. You can't just choose any x you want. You got to do the one right across from it. Negative 1 plus 2. So that's the question. Question. Does that work? So let's take our pencil here. First, order of ops. Well, negative times a negative, it's going to be a positive, but anything times 1 is the same number. So this is going to end up being a positive 0.5 plus 2. Well, if I think about money, that's like 50 cents plus $2. That just gives me 2.5. Does that equal 4? I don't think so. So, automatically, just having tried one, you can get rid of the whole thing. The other thing I saw was some of you guys chose one of them, and the very first one worked, and that's the answer you marked. But you know these guys are tricky on tests, so you can't just do one. If one of them works, you got to go to the next one. If that one works, the following and the following. You can only stop as soon as one of them doesn't work. Okay? So again, plug and chug, put in your calculator, negative 0.5 times whatever your x is, add 2 equals, and then see if it equals y. If it does, keep going. If it doesn't, that's an x, and you move on to the next problem. Pause the video, do your math. Okay, here we have number 9. Again, this is a TEI, and they give you directions at the top. Click on a box to choose each representation you want to select. You must select all correct representations. So they're going to give you a table of ordered pairs as shown. That's this guy right here. Okay, so they're giving you a table again. And now you have to figure out identify each representation of the same given relationship. Here's your key, guys. Each. And you know it's a TEI when it says you must choose each representation. So there's going to be more than one. I'm telling you, every time there has to be more than one. And when I went through and checked some of your work, some of you guys just picked one. You picked one that was right, that was great, but you only picked one and you moved on. You got to pick more than one. Okay, so how do we work this? Well, these are ordered pairs, right? Negative 2, 2, 4, negative 1, 8, negative 3. Here, they're testing again. Do you know the x-axis versus the y? That's what we did at the very beginning of this unit is can you plot the points? Seems pretty easy. Number 2, this box right here, it's a plug and chug. Again, they give you negative 1/2 x plus 1. You plug in your x, negative, and yes, you can make this 0.5. So negative 0.5 times, what's this? Negative 2 plus 1. Does that give you 2? If so, please check the other 2 before you mark this. Finally, they give you some words. So I'm going to help you with this because I think this one right here is probably the most difficult. It says the x-coordinate is 4 more than the y-coordinate. So let's write this exactly like it's written, but we're going to do it in math. X-coordinate, so we have x, is, that's your equal sign, 4 more than the y-coordinate. Now, if you remember from last year, when it says more than, you got to flip it, right? So the y is going to come first, and then you're going to add 4. And this looks a little backwards, doesn't it, from this equation? But that's okay, because once you write it like this, you go up here and you plug it in. That's pretty easy. 2 plus 4. Is that -2? Well, I'll leave that up to you to decide. Again, pause the video, do your math. Please select more than one answer and move on to the next one. Number 10, what is the range of this relation? So here, my keyword is this guy right here, range, okay? Because that's going to tell you, am I looking at my x's or am I looking at my y's? You only want the number for the ordered pairs. Yes, they have, what is that, 6 through -6, both on the y and the x. They have all the numbers listed, but I only care about where these points are. Those are the only numbers I want. I don't want anything else. So, you're going to love it. Watch what happens. We got to know this again. I'm telling you, if you can know this, it'll answer like over half these questions. So, what does range go with? Does it go with your x or does it go with your y? So let's just take this pair right here. What do we have here? We have 4, 1. So let's change it to my little marker here. This ordered pair is 4, 1. Now, without giving away too much, which one of these is going to be your range number? It's got to be listed down here. It doesn't matter if it's in the same order as the points. It just has to be listed. And if I'm looking at these numbers correctly, these numbers look like they're in numerical order. So if it were me, I'd start here or here and just go either, if I'm looking for my x's, go straight across this way. If I'm looking for my y's, you can go top to bottom. Find what you need for range. That's your key. Mark the answer that you think is right. Pause the video, do some math, and I'll see you on the next one. Number 11. Which number is not, ooh, it's even capitalized, an element of the range in the relation shown? Couple keywords, let's highlight them. Obviously, not is going to be a big keyword because they even highlighted it for us using capital letters. And then, look, there's another word with, another sentence with range in it. So you know what I'm going to type here, don't you? I bet you guys already know now. Yep, there it is again. You gotta know Dix-Roy. I know it's funny, everybody wants to laugh, but if you know what these letters stand for, you're gonna pass this. So, we have range, but we want not. So if I were you, I'd go through and circle, and I'm not gonna do it because it'll give it away, but I want you to go through and circle all the numbers that are in the range. So if you circle all the ones that are in the range, then all you have to do is come over here and find, well, which one of these numbers did I not circle? That's going to be the one that is, ooh, kind of went over the T there, that is not in the range. Okay, so circle all the ones that are ranges and then find the number that you did not circle. Easiest way to do this problem. Pause the video, make your selection, and move on. Question number 2. Okay, it's getting late. I gotta be honest, I'm not sure if I did number 12 or not, so I'm gonna do it one more time and make sure I record it this time. If I didn't record it before, my apologies. If I did and you're watching it twice, just go ahead and fast forward through this part. Okay, so what I said before was that this problem is a TEI problem. Unfortunately, it doesn't say directions like it's supposed to. It should say choose each, click on each box and choose all the correct answers, which would be your key that you have to select more than one. Below is a table of values based on the perimeter of various squares. So we have length of an edge, 3, 4, 5 inches, and then the perimeter is 12, 16, 20. So what I did before was I went and I got a rectangle and tried to make it look like a square. There we go. And I said, okay, so here I made my edges 3 inches. Let's just go with that. So 3, 6, 9, and 12 is the perimeter because, right, you add up all your edges or all your sides. And then I made another one that was a wee bit bigger. Again, I'm going to try my best to replicate. There we go. And I'm going to say, okay, this is 4 inches. So 4, 8, 12, 16. That would be the 16. And then if I make one more, ooh, that one didn't turn out too hot. Can I move it? Nope, can't move it. Okay, just go with me on this. If this is 5, 10, 15, 20. So the question is, we want to click on the best descriptions for the column perimeter. So if I go here, the one I'm really concerned about is this guy. What is this guy? Is this independent or dependent, right? Because those are our choices. So this word right here, descriptions, there's your plural. Hopefully you read that and said, oh, I need to pick more than one. This is a TEI question, so you must pick more than one. We're also looking for perimeter. So all we care about is the perimeter. Now I bet you guys know what I'm going to type next. Yup. Oh, let's see if I can spell. There it is. Got yourself some Dixroy. Okay. If you remember this, then you will know what goes with domain and range, independent or dependent. Remember, independent variables are things you can control. What could I control up here? What was I creating? Dependent is what happens after I do this controlling thing. Think about domain and range. One is X, one is Y, and that way you'll know your independent and dependent variable. I'm only looking for a perimeter. Another side note that I made earlier was that some of you guys picked independent and dependent. Well, guys, it can't be both. It's one or the other. You can't be wet and dry at the same time. Well, I guess you could, but you know what I mean. You can't be domain and range. It can't be X and Y. It's got to be one or the other. So if you pick independent, you should know, is it domain or range? If you pick dependent, you should know, is it domain or range? Okay? So, do your work. Pick 2, please. And not more, because it's going to be either or. It's not going to be both. And then pause the video, make your selections, and move on to the next one. Number 13. A taxi service charges a $10 flat fee plus $3 per mile to travel. Which graph correctly displays the total cost of a taxi ride? This one was a hard one. A bunch of you guys missed this. So let's look at this one pretty carefully. Here we care about the fact that it's $10 flat fee. That means they don't care if you go no miles or if you go 14 miles. It's going to cost you $10. Then you have to add on plus $3 per mile. Which one of these, because they don't give us any labels, so which one of these is going to be miles and which is going to be money? If you think about independent, dependent, think about your X and your Y. What are we controlling? Do we control how far we go or how much it costs? Well, some people might say, if I only have $20, I know I can only go this far. And that's true. But most people say, well, if I've got to go from Buford to the downtown mall, that's, 4 miles. So that's how much it's going to cost. You think about miles as what you have control over. So this axis right here, our x-axis is going to be miles. Our y-axis is going to be our money. A lot of you guys picked C. And that was a good start because look, even though you haven't gone anywhere, you start out at $10. That's what you want. Because just putting your butt in that taxi cab is going to cost you $10 no matter where you go. So that's a great start. The problem is you said, okay, well 10 plus 3 is 13. That's not a bad idea, right? $10 flat fee plus 3. So 1 mile will give you $13. That's really good math. Here's the trick. How many miles is that? That's 2 miles. So it shouldn't be 13. It should actually be, yep, you guessed it, 16, because you have to go 10 plus 3 for the first mile plus another 3 for the second mile. So that gets you 16. So you need to figure out which one of these graphs shows you that correctly. I'm going to pause, or you pause it, do the math, pick your correct one this time, and then move on. Okay, number 14. Which equation represents the table below? So they give you this nice table. It is set up horizontally. That means side to side instead of vertically like we've been seeing. But here are ordered pairs. -2, 7, 0, -3, 1, -1, 3, and 3. And they give us a whole bunch of different equations to choose from. Couple ways you could do this. The first one, always your backup plan, plug and chug, right? We got our x as -2, so if we plug in -2, do we get -7? If I plug in 0, do I get -3? Now I gotta be honest, this one right here would probably be the one I start with. Why is that? Because plugging in 0 is the easiest thing to do. It even gets rid of these fractions. So what's 2 times 0? Well, let's take A. We'll just look at A real quick. So 2 times 0 minus 3. Well, that gives us 0, yeah? Minus 3. That does give us a -3, doesn't it? And that's what we wanted, according to this up here. So this has potential. Now I can go back and check the other ones. But if you look at C, look here. If I plug in 0 here, right, this little times, 1/2 times 0 is also 0. And that's also 0 minus 3. So this could be a good one too. So there's your 50-50 shot. If I plug in 0 here, I'm going to get a +3. Same thing with D. So these guys aren't going to work. Because if you plug in 0, you get a +3 as an answer rather than a -3 that you need. I want you to go through, try the other 3 points. Let me get my little eraser here. I want you to try your other 3 points on A and on C and see which one gives you the answer. Do your math, write it down so you get credit for showing work. Pause the video while you do it, and then move on to the next question. Okay, number 15. Which representation shows a relation where the y value is twice the x value? So here they're using words, and you're going to have to pick, is it going to be a graph or a table? Your key here is this. This is what we need to worry about. We have got to, sorry, that came out a little funky. We have got to change these words into an actual problem. Take it step by step. Y value is, now this is what you got to know. What does twice mean? Well, twice sounds like 2, so I know there's a 2 involved. Do you know? Is it add, subtract, multiply, divide? Which one is it with the x? Okay, I'll tell you. It's times. Twice means 2 times, so it's going to be 2 times x, or you could just write it right beside each other. So, y is 2 times of x. If I were the kid and this were a test at number 15 and I'm tired, I would definitely try B or C first. Good old-fashioned plug and chug never hurt, right? As soon as you get one that's wrong, the whole thing is wrong. For example, look at B, 0. If I plugged in 0, is 2 times 0 -4? Is that right? I don't think so. So that right there, I only have to do one. Pat out, all gone. For the graphs, you might be thinking, well, I can do tables. That's not hard. What about the graphs? The graphs are kind of easy. Again, you can pick the points, right? So, and you don't want to pick anything in the middle here. You want to pick something right on there. So we got -1, 2. You could try that one. 0, 0. That's a good one. Oh, we got -2, 4. Looks like that's a good one you could try. Looks like, you know, we got some others. It's kind of hard to see, so I understand if that's a little difficult. Down here, you could put one right there at 0, 2. You got another one here at 2, 3 looks like. That's a good one. Here's one, 4, 4. The other thing, and this is if you really understood the, here, I'll write this down. If you understood when we did this, y equals mx plus b. Now, if you understood this, if you didn't, don't worry. Plug and chug works just fine. You can work your way through it. If you understood this, then m, which is your slope, is 2. So that would be 2 over 1. So remember, you count up 2 over 1, so you can pick your points and see if that works, right? You can pick your points and see if that works. Also, what kind of number is 2? Seems to be a positive number. Is that a positive slope? Might be an easy way to get rid of some of these options. Is this a positive slope? And again, the plus b, that's your y-intercept. If there is no y-intercept, what does that mean? Does that mean it doesn't ever cross the y-axis? Or does it mean that it goes through at 0? Okay, so pause the video. You got 3 to choose from. Hopefully I've given you some ideas on how to get rid of some of the other options. Plug and chug if you need to. That's always your backup plan. And select your answer, and I'll see you on the next one. Okay, graph number 16, excuse me. Graph the equation below. Y equals negative 2 over 3, 2/3 x plus 2. Plug and chug, always a good backup plan. I'm going to show you that we learned. We practiced this for about a week, so hopefully some of you guys remember it. Y equals mx plus b. Okay, remember, m is your slope. Right? That's rise over run. B is your y-intercept. That's where it crosses the y-axis. So knowing this information, what can we decipher? Well, our slope is what? Negative 2/3. They tell me that. It's a negative slope. Which way does a negative slope go? Do you guys remember? Let me see, get my little pen here. This is one slope. Then you have this slope, you have straight across, and then you have vertical. Remember, this is walking up a wall, which we can't really do. That's the error in your calculator. So I'll tell you right now, as you can see, none of them are going to be the vertical. This is going to be my 0 slope. So if there was nothing here, y just equaled a number, that would be horizontal, and we don't have any of those. So which one of these is going to be positive or negative? If you can remember slope with that sign, that little negative sign, does it go down like you're falling down the hill, or does it go up? That right there gets rid of 2, because see, you see 2 go down and 2 go up. The other one is your y-intercept. That's plus 2, a positive 2, so that's where it crosses. Does it cross right here? See this positive 2? Is that line up there? Nope. So I'm going to tell you right now, that's not one of them. It's got to cross at that too. Again, if you're stuck with this y equals mx plus b, if you don't think it's something that you can memorize for the SOL, that's okay. You can always pick a couple points, like we have this guy here, right? You can pick a couple points on the line and see, got this one here, if it works, and plug it in. And I would always choose, choose more than just one point. Make sure it's on the line. I know they're hard to see on this because it's so small. So pick at least 2 points to try out to make sure it works. And make sure that they're not the same number, or that kind of defeats the point of picking 2. This one might take you a little bit of time. That's okay, because the other ones, are easy. You can move through those faster. So take the time. I've given you 3 options now. I took one away for you. See if you can figure out the positive slopes or negative slopes. Figure out the y-intercept and pick the correct choice. Pause the video while you do your work. See you on the next one. Number 17. The following is a graph of a function x. So it's not a linear function, right? It doesn't make a straight line, but that's okay. It can still be a function. So which set represents the domain of the function? Early in the test, we were really looking at the range. Now we're looking at the domain. That's your key word. That's what you want to highlight or underline. Who can guess before I even put it up here what I'm about to type? Every time you see the word domain or range, this is what you want to write on your paper. That will help your brain remember, am I looking at the X numbers or the Y numbers? Now, I'm not going to tell you. Again, you don't want to pick every single number that's listed. You only want to pick the numbers that go with these points. So you have 4 points, and you should have 4 numbers. So all these are 4. That's good. None of them are going to repeat. They're all different numbers. You need to pick the ones that go with domain. So which one of these goes with domain? You would also probably need to know your ordered pair. Which one is X and which one is Y. Okay? Hopefully you can figure this out on your own. Pause the video. Choose the right one for domain. You want the one for domain. Number 18. This was a very, very tricky one for a lot of you guys. This was probably the most missed question. So if you miss this, don't feel bad. A lot of your friends are with you. Click on all the graphs that represent the functions. There may be more than one answer. Here's your hint. There's always more than one answer. When it's a TEI question like this, please don't pick one. And yes, some of you guys just picked one. And most of you picked this first one because you're like, oh, I recognize that. That's a function. You were not wrong. You're right. That's one that you should check off. Here, let's go ahead. Let's put a big check. Yes, that's one of them. It is a function. However, it is not the only one. Functions can be shapes that do not make straight lines. What is the rule about a function? Now, you guys might not remember this because it was very early. You can get out your notebooks. Remember, you're always allowed to use your notebooks during these reviews, these test reviews, because they're to help you understand for when we get further down the road and you have these questions again on like a term test or on the SOL. For a function, you need to use something called the vertical line test. You guys remember the vertical line test? Remember, I told you can put your pinky up to the screen or you can use your pencil. You want to make a straight line. If it only touches once, is it a function or is it not a function? That I am not going to tell you. That's what you need to know. I'm giving you the vertical line test. I will tell you that. I can't tell you that on a test, but I can tell you that now. You need to decide if it touches one time, does it make it a function or not a function? Okay, so let's look again. Let's try it here with this guy. Oh, can I make a straight line? There we go. How many times does this one touch? Once or twice. So is that a function? And just to give you one more hint, because this was a hard one for you guys, let's look at the one that I already told you was a function. How many times does that bad boy touch? This is one that's not a difficult, there's no math, there's no plug and chug, there's nothing to do with the calculator here. However, if you don't know about that vertical line, right, if you forgot the vertical line test, there's no way to know if it's a function. So that's one of those things you need to memorize is, oh, if they ask me if it's a function and they give me a picture, got to use my vertical line test. Pause it, select the ones that you know now are right. I guarantee you there's more than one. And then move on to the next one. Number 19. Alana is creating a table of values to graph the equation 2x plus 3y equals 9. So here's our table of values, -3, there's our question mark. Let's go ahead and circle that. We need to know that. 0, 3, 3, 1. What is the missing y value? Our equation looks different than what we're used to, doesn't it? Normally it's y equals something x something something, right? This is different, but you can still plug and chug. You just have to use algebra. Remember algebra, like what's the opposite? So let me show you how to set this up, and then you're going to solve it on your own. Now, what you could do, honestly, is you have your 2. We know that means times. We know our x is -3. We have plus 3. Is that like a plus sign there? There we go. Times, that's what we don't know, equals 9. Now, if you wanted to, as a backup choice, you can plug in each one, right? Plug in your 1, plug in your 5, plug in the -1, plug in the -5. One of them, when you do this problem correctly, hopefully, right? We have our order of operations. You add at the end. Hopefully, one of them will give you 9. The other way, okay, so that's one way to solve it. You can plug and chug, right? I'll even give you this. We know that's -6. You can plug and chug each one until you get 9 for an answer. Then that's the y that we're missing. So having said that, the other way you could do this is to solve for y. So I'll show you what I mean by that. Here, we'll do this. Shoink. All right, so I still have my 2 times -3 plus, now watch what I'm going to do here. I have my 3y. I'm going to leave it as a y, equals 9. I'm going to go ahead and combine like terms, right? That's why we did that unit first. So I have -6 plus 3y equals 9. Now I'm not going to solve this because I want to see if you guys remember this. Remember, you got to draw your line. What do we get rid of first? Well, this is a regular number, so to combine like terms, I got to move that -6 over. How do I get rid of a negative? And then we'll have just the 3y left over here, so how do I get rid of that 3? I think a lot of you guys are pretty comfortable with this, so feel free to go ahead and solve it this way. For your test correction, to show work and get your points, you got to choose one way or the other and write it down. You don't have to do both. You can either do algebra or you can do plug and chug. Either way, I will give you full credit if you get the right answer. Pause the video, do some math. We only have one more left. Number 20. Yay, it's the last one. I'm so excited. Okay, so the equation A equals 3p plus 5 gives the price for admission to a park. In the equation, A, they're talking about this guy right here, is the admission price for one car. P, this guy right here, is for the number of people in one car. Now some of you told me, oops, I forgot to read this sentence. This is where all your information is that you need to be able to solve this bad boy. What is the price of admission for a car with 4 people in it? So here we go. We got 4 people, we got a car, and we want to know what is the price of admission. So let's look at our equation, important piece always, so we can do some plug and chug. Seriously, that's all it is. We want to know A, so there's not even algebra to solve. Which one is people? The A or the P? I don't know. Maybe it tells me right there. So we have A equals, really what they need, what do you do with 3P? Is it 34? Is it 3 times 4? Is it 3 plus 4? What is that P? Yeah, it's times. I want you to write this down because it's a pretty easy one to give away here. Well, you do have to solve it. I'm going to make you solve it. I'm not going to solve it for you. Got a little order of ops situation going on. Let's see if you can do it. If you missed this one, some of you I saw picked 8. You just added, I think, the 3 plus 5. And if there was only one person in the car, you'd be right. But there are how many people? 4 people. So it's 3 times 4. And then just the $5 flat fee. So tell me the price of admission, show me your work, and you are done with the review quiz. Make sure to give either Miss Walker or Miss Randall your work so you can get your bonus points. Thanks for watching. If you have any more questions, please raise your hand.